that some of the Republican establishment writers and talkers are basically losing their minds as they write and as they speak in front of everybody. Have you noticed how hateful they are? This Christie boy, tell you what, Krispy Kreme, he's in there. He really loves his guy Romney. Trashing Gingrich. Let's listen to this quickly. Here he is with David Gregory on Meet the Depressed. This governor's very, very busy showing up any TV show, any radio show but mine, airport radar, sonograms. He's everywhere, this guy. Cut 5, go.
You've been more pointed when you talk about in favor of Governor Romney. You say he will never embarrass you. Do you think Newt Gingrich will embarrass the party?
I think Newt Gingrich has embarrassed the party over time. Whether he'll do it again in the future, I don't know.
Can you stop a second? May I pick up something here? Not to be controversial. Does he sound a little bit like Barney Frank to you, Mr. Producer? Ever so, he's starting to sound like Barney Frank. Go ahead.
Romney never has.
You say he's embarrassed the party. How and where do you worry he might do it again that makes him unelectable?
David, we all know the record. I mean, he was run out of the speakership by his own party. He was fined $300,000 for ethics violations. This is a guy who's had a very difficult political career at times, and it has been an embarrassment to the party. You remember these times. You were here. So the fact of the matter is, I don't need to regale the country with that entire list again, except to say this. I'm not saying he will do it again in the future, but sometimes past is prologue.
Brilliant, isn't he? I have a challenge for Krispy Kreme. Can you please tell me which one of the ethics complaints was legitimate? I know you're going to go look them all up right now because they are publicly available. Because I was there too, Krispy Kreme. I remember what they tried to do to Gingrich. Those ethics complaints, you can attack them for different viewpoints and so forth, but those ethics complaints, for the most part, were filed by David Bonnier, a real pinko, hard left nut job from Michigan, filing one after another, and they filed those ethics complaints not because Gingrich was unethical in any respect, but to try and drive him out of office, because they were angry that he drove them out of office legitimately, Mr. Governor. I was there. I remember it, Crispy. And what were you doing back then, Crispy? He paid the $300,000 not because he was guilty of anything, but because he was correctly advised that he was going broke. Pay the $300,000 and get out. He couldn't afford it anymore. So now, according to Krispy Kreme, Christie, the governor of New Jersey, and leading spokes, big mouth, for Romney, the fact that Bonnier and the hard left Democrats filed all these ethics complaints, which were phony, which amounted to nothing. The fact that the IRS investigated and found nothing. The fact there were no criminal charges brought of any kind. But he had to pay in order to get out so he wouldn't go broke. According to Krispy Kreme Christie, the governor of New Jersey, this is a reason to oppose Newt Gingrich. He's repeating old left-wing propaganda. So for all those Republican establishment phony media reporters out there who thought they'd never see the day when Republicans were attacking capitalism, and they're right about that. But they're saying that only because they're defending Romney, not capitalism, which is fine. That's their view. How about this one? I never thought I'd see the day when Republicans like Christie would use phony ethics complaints filed by among the hardest of hard-left Democrats back then in the House of Representatives against Gingrich as a weapon to promote their candidate. I also briefly addressed the Republican primary on Saturday as a stunning defeat for the Republican establishment. And you can see them coming out swinging. Blindly swinging right hooks all over the place. They don't know what to do with themselves. And among the first to do so would be Krispy Kreme Christie, the governor of New Jersey. He says, you all know the record. I don't want to regale you with all those ethics complaints that were filed against Gingrich by none other than David Bonnier, among others. to try and take down the new Speaker of the House. And so I put a challenge out to the former United States Attorney, the man that everybody slobbers over to be the next President of the United States, who immediately picks up the left-wing cudgel of the ethics complaints against Gingrich to hit him repeatedly with it, and on Meet the Depressed of all places. So my challenge to Krispy Kreme Christie is this. Which one of those ethics complaints, Mr. Governor, do you stand behind? Obviously, if you're going to bring them up on a national news show, you've read them all. Obviously, if you're going to bring them up on a national news show, you've also read the responses that were filed by Gingrich's lawyers. So obviously, you're a student of this subject. Now, let me tell you something, Governor Christie. I actually am a student of this. Do you want to know why? Because I was a senior person at the Landmark Legal Foundation at the time, and I filed 4 complaints against David Bonnier for abusing his office in filing most of those ethics complaints. I can tell you all about those ethics complaints, Mr. Governor. What do you want to know? I can tell you about the $300,000 that was paid. I can tell you about the IRS investigation that found nothing. What do you want to know, Governor of New Jersey, since you're bringing up the ethics complaints? As a matter of fact, I will publicly offer you to come on this program for a full hour, and you and I can discuss the ethics complaints that were filed against Newt Gingrich, and we can go through them one by one, and you, Governor Christie, you can tell me which one of those ethics complaints you found legitimate. How about that, Mr. Former U.S. Attorney? You want to do that? We can do it. No, folks, I don't mind the brass knuckles coming out with these candidates if it's on the issues, if it's on the facts. But if they're going to reach for liberal bows and arrows to shoot at one of our guys, just like I hammered Gingrich the other day for his silliness with attacking capitalism, what the hell is Christie doing? What do you say, Governor? I mean, you're showing up on all these liberal shows. You go to MSLSD. I won't be hard on you. You're a tough guy. You're a former prosecutor. Let's go through the complaints. What do you say? And you can also tell me, well, you still are, to my knowledge, the only Republican governor in America who has failed to join all the other Republican governors and attorneys general who are challenging Obamacare in the United States Supreme Court. Very odd. Something we've never gotten to the bottom of with you, Governor, despite all your media appearances. How do you explain yourself? What do I have to do? Send somebody with a cell phone that has a video and take a video of you and put it on YouTube? Then will you answer the question? Or what are you going to do, shout them down in the audience? Can't shout me down if you come on the program, Governor, but we can have an intelligent, mature discussion. Let's discuss the ethics. Oh, and by the way, Governor, you know that little helicopter ride you took to your kid's Little League game on the public dime, and then when it was found out you paid it back? That would have been an ethics complaint against you had you been serving in the federal government and in the House or the Senate. Do you understand how it works, Governor? Doesn't matter if you were innocent or not. Doesn't matter if you paid it or not. The question is whether that flight, initially paid for by the New Jersey taxpayers, was ethical. And they were using phrases, let me help you out, Governor. They were using phrases at the time like an appearance of unethical activity, an appearance of a conflict of interest. Oh, it was funny how many appearances David Bonnier and the other left-wing Democrat hacks could come up with. They saw appearances everywhere, Governor, and then they put them in the form of an ethics complaint, and they kept filing them and filing them and filing. There were dozens and dozens, and Gingrich had to hire lawyers, and he had to fight them one after another. Now, let me ask you something, Governor. Does that make Gingrich unethical or the people who filed the complaints? So I would suggest to you, Governor, figure out what the hell you're talking about before you open your big mouth. With all due respect. You like tough talk, I know. Well, that's tough talk. And while we're at it, will somebody please tell me the top 10 conservative things that Chris Christie has done? I get it with the teachers union. Hooray, hooray. I'm all for it. How about the other 9? If he's the future of the conservative movement and the Republican Party, we're finished. I'm just curious what he knows about the subject he went on national TV about and spewed on about. He doesn't know a damn thing about it. Unfortunately, I know everything about it because I lived through it. And as I said, I filed, I think it was 4 ethics complaints against Bonnier. Among those, relating to all the filings he was using and taxpayers' dollars to pursue these frivolous complaints against Gingrich. And Gingrich could have fought that $300,000 penalty, and he wanted to, but he was broke. Governor. It was not an admission of anything. Just thought you'd want to know. Now, if you're going to take shots, inform yourself. Or you're going to make an ass out of yourself. Sorry, folks, this stuff pisses me off. Like when Newt went low on the capitalism stuff. We keep making liberal arguments. You don't have to make liberal arguments. Make conservative arguments, Governor. For instance, has anyone heard Chris Christie discuss the merits and demerits of, say, the Romney 59-point economic plan versus the Gingrich economic plan? I've never heard that. Does he know the differences? Has he studied them? If he's going to be one of the big surrogates out there, you'd think he would, but he doesn't. He pops off with the talking points. I see Polente roaming around out there. Boy, the first sign of danger, he quits. Now he's a character witness for Romney. Oh, Palente's for Romney. Oh, let me drop everything. That changes my mind. I mean, if he was so solid, he should have hung in there for at least one primary, one caucus. But no. You know, it's funny. No, I never represented Gingrich. Filing ethics complaints against Bonnier, I don't have to represent anybody. Never coordinated with him, never met with him, never spoke to him or his staff or anything of this. What's interesting about this is I actually have been more supportive of Romney in the past because I endorsed him at the very end against McCain. And 99% of the reason I gave is he's not McCain. Another Hobson's choice, as we say. And yet in this election, I've said if I were voting today, I'd vote for Santorum, but if I'm voting against Newt versus Romney, I'm voting for Newt. Well, you can't do that, the Romney people. Oh, you have business ties with it. What are you talking about? This is the crap we get. Let's think of some businessmen, shall we? Let's see. We have Warren Buffett and Jeff Immelt and all those millionaires and billionaires donating fortunes to Obama. We got crony capitalists all over the place. There's a zillion leftists in business. I don't know why, but that's where they are. There's a zillion leftists in union. I don't know why, but they're there. There's a lot of leftists everywhere. The fact that somebody has run a business doesn't mean they're conservative or a constitutionalist. And we're not stupid, so we're going to look for that. What kind of businessman puts Romney Care in place? Huh? What? All right, now back to Christie. Stick with me. Follow the bouncing ball. The man wants to be president. Here's the announcement. Christie makes historic Supreme Court nominations. New Jersey Today. Governor Chris Christie today made 2 historic nominations to the New Jersey Supreme Court with Bruce Harris, mayor of Chatham, a lawyer with over 20 years of legal experience, and Philip Kwan, first Assistant Attorney General in the Department of Law and Public Safety and former Deputy Chief of the U.S. Attorney's Office. A friend of mine says he's a good guy. That's all I know. Harris will become the 3rd African-American to serve on the state Supreme Court and the first openly gay member of the court. Kwan will become the first Asian-American to serve on the Supreme Court and the first immigrant to serve since the 1947 Constitution created the court. Quote, I am extraordinarily proud to announce these two historic nominations to the New Jersey State Supreme Court. Bruce and Phil are each accomplished and talented individuals with skilled legal minds who are highly respected in the legal community. Just as importantly, each of them has demonstrated a remarkable commitment to serving their state and their communities. Now, I just read that to you. Is there anything about them being constitutionalists and originalists when it comes to the state's Constitution in New Jersey? I can't find that. Maybe there's a longer statement with it. He says, additionally, not only do their different backgrounds and career paths bring distinctive and important perspectives to the Supreme Court, Bruce and Phil also capture our state's diversity in a way never before seen in the history of the court. Oh, really? Well, I just read what is in this article. Maybe there's more. I read nothing about their commitment to originalism. That doesn't mean they don't have a commitment to originalism. I'm talking about what the governor's touting. But there's diversity on the Supreme Court. Let me ask you a question. When you're litigating before the Supreme Court, do you care that there's diversity before the court? Or do you care that you get a fair shake that the court's going to uphold the state constitution? I don't know about you, but the latter is more important to me.